The following is for entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors. We are not responsible for any losses, only the profits. What's happening, Octo family? We're taking a look at one that people have been asking me about for a long time. I'm finally getting into it. I finally had some time to look into it. There's a lot of 3D printer plays out there, but I think this one has got something kind of unique. I actually did some digging and I was unable to find anyone who had anything close, remotely close to what they have. There's desktop metals, but I don't think that they're even close to this. These guys are already doing it. There's such a big difference in between someone who's saying in 5 years we might be able to do this or that. So what are they doing right now? These people already have space contracts, United States, government contracts, the defense agencies. This one's actually pretty cool. What do? They make these 3D printers, but they can make these super tiny little micro computer pieces, and they can make it way easier than traditional ways of making them. Traditional ways of making them, you need, like, let's say 30 different sections, 30 different machines to put a certain part on and stamp one on, press it over and move it to another one that's going to put a fuse on and add that. This thing can literally just print. It's one little thing that's going from a whole room, shown like right here on the left, to on the right, this little box. So imagine if you were like, even in the sports industry, like if you were into like electronic skateboard stuff, you want to make your own BMSs, your own brains or whatever for computer parts. Imagine if you had this here all set up, pane, right? Or you could have this little thing. I'd rather have a warehouse with just a couple of these things just printing parts all day than like a whole huge manufacturing process that can take a lot longer. It's cool. It's speeding stuff up, but it's also making it possible to make things that just weren't possible before. Because that's the big technology with 3D printing is it's so tiny that instead of having to do stuff by hand and doing these little micro welds, it can just do it itself. Something that could take maybe 1,000 hours for people to do, they could probably do in a half a day. Pretty interesting. They're also leasing it, so you don't even have to come in and like fully buy this thing. You can lease it, which is cool. Training and support, of course, but the cool thing with that is money. That's back-end money, so they're going to be charging people to do that. Co-creation design, so if you need help designing something, help with that. Prototyping, low-volume production, so that's the other problem. I have friends that are in sort of this industry, and they get stuff done in China, and it's a constant email battle, like all day long, of little micromillimeter changes here and there. They got to send stuff off to China, then they got to wait for it to come over on the boat, and it just takes forever. It could take 2 years to get one little thing done. But if he had this printer, it'd be a lot easier. They're showing here, they've got all the confusing stuff, so I'm not going to get into it. Anything from antennas to little pieces for cell phones to chips to everything. Dragonfly AME machines controlled by the AI algorithms produce electronic devices by simultaneously 3D injection of dielectric and conductive materials to fabricate within hours. So they can make something like this within a couple hours, which is crazy. It's pretty cool. They also have AI technology. That's a hype word. Stuff's had AI for decades. It's not that big of a deal if you ask me. Regardless, it's a hype word, so that's good to have it in here. Showing they've got more than a dozen granted patents too. I didn't have time to look up the patents and dive in, but it is what it is. If they've got even just one patent in there that gives them basically a monopoly on this space, which they might have, that's massive. Why? Because someone could come in and try to buy them out, or it just makes them worth that much more because no one else can do it. I went and searched and tried to find other companies that were even remotely close as I couldn't. There might be out there, or they're like the Nicholas of the world that are like hoping to someday do it, but I couldn't find one that could come even close. Of course, there's a billion 3D printers out there, but 99% of the stuff that 3D printers make is trash. It's like, it's not going to last. It's like the cheesiest plastic you can get. There's guys who make like skateboard parts out of it for electronic skateboards, and the stuff just like breaks within weeks to a month. It's just not, it's not cool. They've only sold, though, about 60 systems worldwide, which doesn't seem like a lot. I don't know how much they charge for these, but I bet you it's a ton of money, which is cool. Anything they can lease out to people, they probably charge a lot for it, which is fine. They actually have some cash, strong cash position, 430 million as of a couple of weeks ago, which is huge. Share dilution ain't that bad. It's 138 million. You know, that's low for something like this. You'd think they'd dilute it. However, they are showing they don't have 100% of production available right now. Like, they can't get into military spec materials yet. I'm guessing that's like getting into hard, like super hard aluminium, stuff like that. They can't do that yet. That's showing in stage 3 of year 2022. So next year, so maybe about a year and a half. But right now, they can do the materials commercial specs, and they can also do some materials in industrial spec. But, you know, this stuff will be good for making like prototypes, because even think of like the NASA spaceships or whatever. For them to actually get a final little tiny piece, they probably have like 1,000 prototypes they've made. This, they can just slap out prototypes all day long, just switching up a little thing here. And then at the end production, then still have to put it off to someone else, but at least they can get the prototyping done. That's the hardest part, is the R&D. You know, and this is showing here what I was telling about my friend, where it's like, dude, you got to get designed in China, then maybe it heads over to the UK, and then it goes back to the United States, and it's just a mess. They're showing branded things that are running with them. I was saying Harris Space Agency outside of Florida, the Department of Defense for America. I don't know what the rest of these are, but Australia, the UK, it's all over. We've got exposure to China. One multi-billion-dollar U.S. value technology conglomerate. That might be Harris, I'm not sure. 2 European defense companies and multiple secret services. Like maybe like spy things, like, I don't know, like radio frequency or spy machines, James Bond stuff. This would be perfect for James Bond. You know, it's the new age MacGyver. Aerospace, defense, medical. It's another big thing, dude. Medical supplies coming up with new ways to do stuff. Can you imagine I know a guy who actually makes medical devices, and his R&D takes years, 2 to 5 years to make a product. But with this, you might be able to bust something out in like 9 months. Think about that. And then, of course, automotive and industrial, machining, just like bottling companies, stuff like that. And cars, you know, Tesla's going to end up, I don't see how Tesla and all the auto manufacturers won't end up having like 20 of these in their factories. So what really sealed the deal for me, though, is this. Nano Dimensions 3D fabrication as a service. What are we talking about? You can chat with an expert regarding the most efficient way of printing your model. Send your CAD or SolidWorks file to optimize for the printing. And then your parts are printed cost effectively and shipped to you within the shortest competitive time. So you can literally get a computer program right now, call up this company, and they'll consult you exactly how to make it, why it will or won't work, and how they're going to help you suggest it. You come up with your file, and you just email them the file. They'll print it on their machine for you, and then just send it to you in the mail. So you like a custom crazy electronic part through the mail. I think this is huge. Like, I could see a whole dimension of like Etsy or eBay, something like that, just utilizing this alone. It could be huge. It's like a high-end Etsy. Get electronic parts made now, or even 3D printed. Just like 3D printed as a service website. Just use these. Could be nuts. Yeah, but is it an easy park? I think it's a pretty easy park. Again, the big thing is I couldn't find no competition, and the patents, and they're far along. And we've got to talk about this, is Miss Kathy Wood over at ARK Invest. Her 18th biggest position on her holdings for the ARKQ holding. 18th biggest, which is big because she's got 42 holdings in there. 18th is Nano Dimensions. It's pretty huge. How many shares does she have? 4,848,000 shares, which equates to $41 million. That's a lot. And it's way up there, dude. This isn't like her 42. Like, she's got Magna, for instance. Remember the people who are going to make the Fisker car? They're ranked 40th. She's in Morgan Stanley 38th. Raven Industries Autodesk is 35. Nano's 18. So what does that tell me? She sees huge growth still. Otherwise, she would be selling out of this stuff. I do too. But what about the retail optic bros? What about them? Are they going to be able to see through this? I think they already have. StockTwits, they've already got 33,000 followers. The message volume has been down about 22%. Why? Because it's already hyped a little bit here and there. Dude, back in October, it was only $4.50, it looks like, like $4, something like that. Went down to maybe like $3.50, and now it's sitting all the way up to $9.50. So yeah, people have already multiplied, which is fantastic for them. That's awesome. But it's just one of these things that could just take one more bigger, smaller catalyst to just get at the next stair step up. That's what I think. And I think, a lot of people still have no idea what this is. I was hearing, getting some backlash a little bit on the Patreon when I brought this up. That I was going to do a video like, why? It's old. Like, just because, a lot of the YouTube people know about it doesn't mean that the whole world does. Think about all the big old-time investors, the value people. This might be something they want to jump into. This is going to turn into a value stock eventually. It's growth for sure now, but it's cool. I think it's got a cool nerd factor to it. As I was saying, one of our Patreons had something to say. He said, I feel like this is overrated. Well, it's just my opinion with the little sales and the constant share stock offering at lower prices. Okay, so right there, the constant share stock offering at lower prices, that's never good to see. So what does that mean? They need cash, and so they'll go to people, and the people say, yeah, I'll give you cash, but I want to pay me in shares, but pay me for $2 less. So they're basically getting more shares for less. That doesn't look good to the investors who are already paying more. So the stock usually kind of goes down. It never looks good, but it's something totally normal. Hopefully they stop doing that, but it sounds like they got plenty of cash. He also said, I feel that there's way easier, safer plays out there. There's always easier, safer plays. We're not looking at this one that this is something that's going to 10x tomorrow. We're not saying that at all. I think this is just kind of like a medium safer play that if you want to like put something in an account and kind of forget about it, I think this would be a good one, a good technology, something to put in there. Or you can just get that Kathy Wood ETF and get exposure to a ton. Plus, everyone, he said, and their grandma's dog is getting in because they follow ARK. This is actually a positive thing. Totally positive thing. I want to be in all stocks that ARK is in. Why? Because she's selling it for me and the rest of us, right? So I think it's pretty good. But again, this is where I took this and was like, well, dude, fine. I mean, if they don't have anything proprietary, then yeah, I can get it. But I searched and could not find anything. I found companies that would make like these fake little plastic wannabe nylon PC bus things. Trashed. You can use that for like dimensions and making a mold, but I couldn't find anything that was even close to this. Does anyone know another company that's like this? Maybe there's a Nano Dimensions that is just at the ground floor. Maybe it's better to get into that one. Maybe it's better to get in both. One that's already the daddy and one that's a little baby bear. I don't know. Y'all already in this one? You gonna get to this one? What do you think? Looking at the stock pricing on the chart, I don't know if this was something else before, but this thing has been monster. I think that's what's going on here. In the past, we're showing back to 2015. This was like $82 and then just waterfall down forever until it finally started curling on up. Once it hit a buck this year. Regardless, it's just basically just cupping up. I don't see why it wouldn't. I could see one catalyst like from a big car manufacturer like GM, it doesn't matter, Nissan, anybody, even Workhorse, dude. Imagine if one of them come out with a press release that says, we have Workhorse has now bought one of these, it's in our shop, and we're going to utilize it to make the next USPS van or whatever van for Amazon or whatnot. It would just be the next stair step up for this. Looking at the chart, where would that put us? I just found another line. Well, right now, this looks to me like we're sitting in a bull. We're sitting right in the middle of a channel here. We're sitting at $8.53. Okay. Technically, we're probably headed to 10. Remember that retail optics thing? $10 is a big retail optics. If you don't believe me, look at stuff like Workhorse, Clean Spark, right? Usually you get rallies all the way after 10, it goes to about 12. If something catastrophic happens, of course, it's going to go back down under 10, but then the next rally up is where it just zips. 15, 20. Why wouldn't it? It's not like this thing has got like 800 million shares or something. It's only got 130-ish million. I don't know. I think it's be just one of those easy parks for me. Is what I would call this. Or again, just buy the Cappy Wood ETF. Why not? Because it gives exposure to all sorts of things kind of in this realm. But watch it. If we get past the 10.08, we'll call it just 10 flat actually. Watch it. It should be able to get to 12.16 and then past 12.16, dude. Saddle up. I think the next thing after 12.16 will be that retail optic of $15 because there's technically nothing there to stop it back here. But just pay attention because 15 is also a retail optic that stuff likes to get to or almost get close and people just dump it. I think it'd be a fun surf. If you haven't subscribed, please do it. It definitely helps out the channel. If you wouldn't mind sharing this video with your friends, it definitely helps out. I'll see y'all out there. Did you know that we give away free silver? Simply leave a comment on the video, and as long as you're in the continental United States, you can be automatically entered to win. Please friend us on Twitter and StockTwits.